Good morning, gang. Happy Tuesday morning. All right. You remember when you were a little kid and you and your brother or your sister did something that, oh crap, we're going to get a whole lot of trouble for this, right? And so you spent the next hour concocting some story to tell your parents. There wasn't any truth about it, How did my vase break in the hallway or whatever it was? Oh, the dog was running through the house and the dog threw the ball back to me. Something crazy. And of course, the parents are sitting there going, right, exactly. That seems to be what the media, particularly CNN, is starting to pull now. They can't find any truth that is backing up their narrative. So now they're going to make up stories. And then when their story gets called out, they don't back off of it. They double down. Yeah. Okay. This happened yesterday. This was hilarious. CNN came out with a story that said Kash Patel, who is the director of the FBI and the interim director of the ATF, was going to cut 1,000 people, field agents, roughly half the force of the ATF, and convert them to FBI agents. Okay? The government, Kash Patel himself, came out and said, that story's BS, that we aren't planning on doing anything like that. That would be my decision. And no, I've never said anything of the sort. So instead of CNN tucking their tail between their legs and saying, oh, our unnamed source was mistaken, no, they doubled down and came out and said, it must be because of our report and that it was brought to light that now the government is backtracking. Right. Got it. Okay. Because you think about it. What does the ATF do that's significantly different than the FBI? Not much. Okay. They're both law enforcement, federal law enforcement. The ATF is just focused on alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. Guess what? The FBI can deal with crimes that are alcohol, tobacco, and firearms too. Most of the time, when there's a infraction amongst any of those three entities, the ATF and the FBI work together. Stupid. Okay. But this is how low the media has gone. And as I was saying yesterday about the rhetoric that is out there, trying to convince the weak-minded liberals in the country that the government is hurting them. Now, you got to remember, a lot of liberals are, as we talked about yesterday, criminals. So, yeah. Gee, don't worry about those alcohol and firearm transactions that you're having, guys, because they're getting rid of the ATF. I mean, is this what they're doing? Don't worry about firebombing a Tesla dealership. The ATF doesn't have any people anymore. This is if you look a little deeper, past the tip of your nose, you'll figure out this is what they were trying to do. CNN was, again, trying to entice their 6 watchers that, hey, go out and wreak havoc, cause mayhem, because there isn't any law enforcement to come after you. Yeah. So that was how it started. But then it got worse yesterday. Then we started hearing about this cabinet meeting with Doge and Trump bringing in all his cabinet members and said, start telling me about the money that is wasteful, is fraud. And just a couple of the examples that came out yesterday. $300,000 for food justice, okay, meaning making sure that everybody's eating, that we all have our fair share of dinner. For queer and transgender farmers in San Francisco. Anybody ever been to San Francisco? The city is a 7 mile by 7 mile, roughly 4950 square mile city, pretty much completely paved, all hilly, and the times I've been there in my life, I never saw a farm at all. Okay. But then the question comes up, why should we be spending money to do anything specifically different for queer or transgender farmers anywhere? I don't care if it's the cornfields of Iowa, differently than straight farmers. It kind of goes back to that lawsuit we had a few years ago where the Biden administration said, hey, we're going to give special funding for black farmers and not give it to white farmers. And of course, there were discrimination lawsuits, and guess what? The discrimination lawsuits won, and Biden couldn't do all his racist funding. Same thing here, read into any discrimination laws. Gender's one of them, okay? No matter what one you pick. Hey, hint, there's only two and you were born that way, right? Okay. But they go on through. I mean, some of the stuff was silly. How about a $600,000 contract out in Louisiana to study the menstrual cycles of transgender men? They're women. They have a period, about every 28 days. Don't need to study it. Okay. I mean, it just got worse and worse and worse. How about the $2 billion that was given to Stacey Abrams? Remember her? The blimp that ran for governor of Georgia and is still saying that she was cheated out of the election? No, they just didn't cheat well enough. I mean, maybe you should have asked John Ossoff or Raphael Warnock how to get the cheat out. Maybe then you would have won. Okay. Now, $2 billion to give washing machines to poor people in HUD housing. If you do the math, that'd be something like 13 million washing machines she had to go get. Hint, go to Home Depot and try to buy a washing machine right now. They'll deliver it to you in about 6 weeks. Guess where it comes from? China! Okay? Yeah, that's where all that stuff's made. But $2 billion to Stacey Abrams. How many of those washing machines got delivered? Ain't nowhere close to 13 million, just telling you that. Okay. And where were these supposed to go? Oh, mostly into apartment complexes, Section 8 housing, that's already owned by the government, that already has washing machines owned by the government. But no, we need to give them washing machines. Okay. That came out. It was just insane. The EPA, Lee Zeldin, came out and said $22 billion worth of contracts, okay, were canceled. And they were all like this. I mean, this stupid stuff. And people would go, oh, $300,000, oh, $600,000, it's not that much money. Until you would start adding it all up. And one department found $22 billion worth of waste. There was one, I mean, get this, that was a survey that we funded for $850 million to do this survey. That was it, okay? So, Cabinet asked, can we see the survey? It was literally 10 questions on a piece of paper. $850 million. I could write something like that up in 10 minutes. Hey, you want to pay me $850 million? Gee, give me that. Every subscriber to this channel is now going to get $5 million, right? I mean, this is how corrupt all of this stuff is. And the corruption doesn't end there, okay? The craziness doesn't end there. For all our Canadian friends here, okay, And trust me, there's plenty of Canadian conservatives here that do not agree with any of the idiocy that's going on up there. But I will tell you this to all our Canadian friends. Get ready. You're about to be invaded. And no, it's not Donald Trump coming to make you the 51st state. It's Venezuelans and Mexicans and Chinese and Haitians and all the illegals that are here in the United States that are now being tracked down and deported. They're making a run for the border. And it ain't the Mexican border. They're heading north. They want to get out of the United States before they get deported back to Venezuela, and they're going to go to somewhere that's more friendly to their plight. In other words, being an illegal. So apparently the Canadians are having a massive influx of border crossers from the United States, and they didn't expect this. Tip of the nose stuff, guys. Okay? You know, if you're Venezuelan, you know, snow isn't that bad when getting shot in the street is your option. But here's how you know this one's true. You had some independent journalists who went and interviewed the cartels down in Mexico about the migration to Canada. And the answer they got was, before Trump was president, roughly 1 in 30 illegals migrating, any of these caravans, wanted to go to Canada. After Trump was inaugurated, the cartel said that number is down to 1 in 2. So you went from 3% to 50% of the people who are trying to escape whatever chaos they live in the rest of the world. And now they want to go to Canada. Okay. You know, it always brings up one of those questions when you listen to the Rosie O'Donnells or the Tom Hanks or the Jasmine Crockett's about how terrible the United States is, or even how terrible Canada is. If the United States was so bad, why do so many people want to come here? You know, it's a question that you put out. You know, Rosie moved to Ireland. Okay. Ireland's getting overrun too by a different set of illegals. But, okay. You hated it here. How many people have emigrated from the United States to Ireland? Some, very few. I mean, I'd bet, probably you can count that number in the low thousands. That was an hour's worth of work under Biden. Okay. Now it's coming down, but we're still pulling in nearly 10,000 a month. They're still trying to get into the U.S. This is the paradigm shift. This is what we all voted for, to get rid of. I'm sorry, Canada. You got your chance, apparently, because we have a snap election called. You have a chance to get rid of your liberal kumbaya government. I hope you do it, okay? Because otherwise your country's going to fall just like England's about to fall, just like France has fallen, just like Germany's soon to fall. I mean, as I told you before, there are now Muslims in Sweden, more Muslims in Sweden than there are Swedes. Okay, just giving you that. That's when you know your country is toast. We aren't going to put up with it here. You shouldn't put up with it there. But this is the kind of crazy crap that we're all going to have to get through. You'll hear the media, like I said at the top, lie and lie and lie, and come up with every story about how it's going to be more expensive to live in the United States when Donald Trump comes in. I mean, hell, CNN was out with another great story yesterday that the government is going to have more problems because all the illegals who file taxes aren't going to file taxes this year. And I'm thinking to myself, are you absolutely serious? In the upper right-hand corner, on the very first page of a tax form, you put your name, your address in the center, and on the right-hand side, it asks for a social security number. If you're an illegal, you aren't filing income tax. But CNN is trying to peddle that lie, too. They're all going to do whatever they can to make it sound like it's so terrible. Yet the price of eggs is coming down. The price of orange juice is coming down. The price of beef is coming down. The price of gas is coming down. But oh my God, it's so terrible. Hakeem Jeffries last week saying inflation was up, which of course he was wrong. You got to filter out the noise. You got to educate the idiots that worship Don Lemon or any of these morons. I know Lemon's not there anymore, but any of these idiots that are on liberal news radio or cable news, that's what I'm looking for. Because all they're doing is lying to them. And slowly but surely, people wake up and they realize that's not true. And that wasn't true. And that's not true. If you've been lying to me about these things, how many other things have you been lying to me about? And eventually they go, but my grocery bill's down. And it costs less to put gas in my car. And mortgage rates are down. Wait a minute. I thought this was supposed to be a bad thing. Maybe they'll wake up and realize it. But hey, as long as they keep trotting out AOC and Bernie Sanders as the great white hope, great white dope, I still feel pretty good. If we have to struggle a little bit because made in China crap is more expensive, okay. But as I said before, go look through your house and see how many things say made in Canada on it. Maybe you'll find a few that say made in Mexico. But I'm all for getting this country back to America first. And from what I see, we're getting there. And the liberals are throwing a hissy fit. Pinball out.